Robin Myers. I'm one of the board members of the band, and obviously in the flute section, and we are so happy to be here again. Thank you for having us back, and I can't tell you how much it means to have all your faces looking at us, because he is correct. We do it because we love the music, and obviously we couldn't do this without you. So thank you for being here this evening and fighting your way through rush hour traffic and accidents and things like that. So without further ado, I'll be your program moderator for this evening. Hands Across the Sea was composed in 1899 and premiered at the Philadelphia Academy of Music that same year. The origin of the title is uncertain, but it is certainly representative of the goodwill that Sousa Band evoked on its multiple European and world tours. Sousa biographer Paul Berley believes that Sousa discussed the justification of the Spanish-American War in a conversation using John Hockham Free's line, "A sudden thought strikes me, let us swear an eternal friendship." The vision of Hands Across the Sea came to Sousa as an enactment of that concept. The march was dedicated to all the countries abroad allied with the United States and the Highty-Tighties, the regimental band of the Virginia Tech Cadet Corps. Guest directing our first selection tonight is Justin Gould, an undergraduate student studying composition and orchestral conducting at Michigan State University. Justin is a native of Lake Orion, a trumpeter, and has performed throughout the U.S. and Europe as a member of the Detroit Civic Orchestra. Please give a warm welcome to Justin Gould. In the late 1800s, a new form of American music was emerging, and with its clever, syncopated style, it immediately caught the fancy of the American public. It was an early form of jazz called ragtime. Sousa is credited with introducing jazz to Europe when he included it in the programs of the famous Sousa Band's first concert tour in Europe in 1900. Over the next 12 years, Sousa had become the most popular band leader in the world, having amazed crowds on every continent with the high level of the band's performances and with his astute programming and conducting. In 1912, Sousa wrote his first and one of his few compositions in the new ragtime style. It was dedicated to the members of the Huntingdon Valley Country Club, of which he was a member. This fun, entertaining, pleasant venture into ragtime has entertained audiences at band concerts for over 80 years. But this new edition, entitled With Pleasure and edited by Robert Foster, is the first publication of this historic work since the original was published in Cincinnati in 1912, making it once again available to bands everywhere. Please welcome our NOCB conductor, Annette Klein. Are you Sousa out? We're going to switch gears. Franz von Suppe is an example of one of those composers who was very successful in his own time, but known today for only a few pieces. In this case, they are mostly overtures. The Light Cavalry is one of them. The Light Cavalry debuted in 1866 in Vienna, and during this time, Austria was about to become part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The citizens of Vienna were fascinated by Hungary, the land of gypsies, and composers added Eastern melodies and Hungarian characters in their operas, giving their music a distinct sound. In the Light Cavalry, heroic fanfares and Eastern Hungarian melodies can be heard, making it a perfect overture to a grand adventure. Interestingly, there is no cavalry in the story, but there is a group of overweight dancers who are often referred to jokingly as the Light Cavalry. Often, Suppe's works have been used for comic effect, and you might recognize parts of this work from having heard it in cartoons. I'm out of breath after that one. This suite, composed in 1911, uses English folk songs and folk dance tunes throughout, being written at a time when Holst needed to rest from the strain of original composition. In this piece, Holst uses 7 Hampshire folk songs and starts the suite off with a march, where the baritone melody is the folk song Swansea Town. The second movement is a setting for the English folk song I'll Love My Love, which is a sad story of a young maiden driven into Bedlam by grief over her lover being sent to sea by his parents to prevent their marriage. The third movement actually gives us a glimpse of a later Holst with the use of open fourths and fifths as a sparse accompaniment to the Song of the Blacksmith, which evokes visions of the sparks from red-hot metal being beaten with the lively hammer's rhythm on the blacksmith's anvil. But it is the last movement where Holst shows how easy it had become for him to combine melodies seamlessly. The English country dance and folk song Dargasan, dating from the 16th century, uses a catchy 6/8 tune that is woven throughout all the instruments, including a duet with the piccolo and the tuba, and combines it with the familiar green sleeves. It is this wistful ending that is just right for the suite. In fact, Holtz liked it so much that he used the finale as the conclusion to his St. Paul's Suite for strings. Please welcome our guest conductor, Justin Gould, back to the podium. On October 8th, 1985, Les Miserables opened at the Barbican Theatre in London, and musical theater history was made. It was then moved to the Palace Theatre on December 4th of the same year, and on March 12th, 1987, the American version opened at the Broadway Theatre in New York City. Since then, Les Miserables has traveled the globe and won many major awards throughout the world, including 8 Tony Awards, such as Best Musical of the Year. Les Miserables has touched the hearts of its international audience as few shows in history have ever done. This power derives both from the enormous strength of the theatrical adaptation and from the timeless reality of the titanic novel of the same name by Victor Hugo, upon which the show is based. More than 130 years later, huge sores still litter the world, and Hugo's words still describe the undying message of his novel. Les Miserables reminds us that we are each part of the same human family, and that whatever our outward differences may be, our longings for individual liberty and peace are the same. Around the world, performers and audience members alike have been deeply moved by their exposure to Les Mis, which is why over 21 years, with each new cast and each new audience, the power and the magic of the show continues to grow. And now we present to you selections from Les Miserables. The 1964 musical Fiddler on the Roof was a blockbuster, breaking many Broadway records at the time with over 3,200 performances. The script, adapted by Joseph Stein from the stories of Shalom Elkheim, was a musical portrait of Eastern European Orthodox Jews in the village of Anatevka experiencing problems and the threat of expulsion by the Russian Tsar. It centers around the struggles of a poor Jewish milkman, Tevye, with 5 daughters, where life is as precarious as the perch of a fiddler on the roof. The story ends on a sad note that the Jews must leave Anatevka, and Tevye, his wife Golda, and their 2 youngest daughters pack what they can carry and leave for America. The music recalls a happier time ending with the dance to life. In 1889, the owners of the Washington Post newspaper requested that John Philip Sousa, the leader of the United States Marine Band, compose a march for the newspaper's essay contest awards ceremony. Sousa obliged. The Washington Post March was introduced at the ceremony on June 15, 1889, and it became quite popular. It led to a British journalist dubbing Sousa the March King. Sousa is honored in the Washington Post building to this day for his contribution to the newspaper and to his country. As we conclude our musical program tonight, we want to thank the people of Nardin Park United Methodist Church for hosting this concert, and we would also like to remind you that if you enjoyed the performance tonight, the NOCB will be in concert next on Tuesday, July 21st at 7 p.m. at the Wildwood Pavilion in Lake Orion, entitled Concert in the Park. We hope to see you there, and thanks for coming out tonight.
I would also like to say thank you. This band is awesome to work with, and we do an amazing program all through the whole season. And if you want to know more about our band, we have a table in the back, in the vestibule, or in the area out there. There's CDs if you are interested in purchasing some CDs, or if you just want to know more about us, we do have a website, nocb.org, and you can follow us there. Thank you.